Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about the term content and why I kind of dislike it. So what is content first of all? I think it's an amalgamation of all the things that have come from the advent of the internet sort of age, where there is so much stuff out there, films, videos, articles, audio, songs, promotional pieces for all of these various things, tweets, Facebook posts, all this sort of stuff. It all needs a term, right? And I think content is a good term for describing these things. However, I feel like the term content has become more of a thing about you're out to make content, not to make works of, say, art, or to make films, or to make certain things that can challenge, and rather to make something that is just designed to be put on in the background while someone does the dishes or tries to go to sleep or has a bath or whatever. And it's all about, you know, chasing algorithms and like audience retention and all this sort of stuff, rather than it being about a true expression of what's going on in terms of what you're trying to get across in whatever it is that you're making, be it an album, be it a film, be it an article, be it a book, a novel, a autobiography, you know, all of these various things. And I feel like with content and, you know, the advent of algorithms and mass doom scrolling kind of access to, you know, random people kind of like myself, you probably just found this because you know, you went on the YouTube homepage and you saw this, you're like, oh, I wonder what that is, I wonder what this guy's on about. And you've clicked it and you're sort of not really giving it much of your attention, which is totally fine, because I do the same thing with other people kind of like this. You kind of watch it, you have it on in the background and you sort of see what's going on. You might hear one bit and it's like, oh, that bit kind of sticks with you. And that's fine. But I think the further you go down the, you know, content creation sort of thing, you notice that there's an awful lot of stuff being made that is just being made for the sake of garnering clicks, garnering views and attention and all this sort of stuff, rather than because they actually have something to say. They just want to be heard, but they don't actually have anything that they want to get across. So they're just sort of shouting into a void and hoping that a stadium will come and have a look at them. And, you know, I get why they want to do it, because, you know, everyone in the sort of past 10 years who's been in the sort of media industry at large has been trying to crack the secret of the algorithms, has been trying to, you know, become the next sort of big, you know, online persona, and been trying to do certain things that can, because obviously having an online audience is probably one of the most powerful things you can have now in the media landscape. If you want to make a film and you've got a pre-built-in audience for that film, that means that you're far more likely to sort of maybe garner potential investors, because they see that there's a potential to actually recoup their money here, because there's actually an audience that would be interested in this sort of thing. So people everywhere that are in this industry want to get an audience, but they don't necessarily know what to do with that audience. They don't know what they want to provide that audience. And so they just make crap. They just put stuff together for the sake of just trying to make stuff. And it becomes this thing called content. And you know, I've done it as well. Everyone has sort of done it, because you've got to do it to try and find your own voice. But as time goes on and you keep sort of doing stuff, it sort of becomes a cynical thing that I've noticed with a lot of content, particularly on the YouTube shorts and the TikToks and all that sort of stuff, where it's about they realized that if you incense an audience and you make an audience angry at a certain thing, that garners an awful lot more engagement. You're going to get more comments of people going, oh, I bloody hate this, oh, this thing's so bad, or, you know, oh, and then they share it with their friends and their family because they've gotten annoyed by it. So they're like, check this out, isn't this so stupid? Oh, bloody hell. You know, that kind of thing. And that gets shared further and further. Whereas I think with positivity, it's a lot harder for that to work, because it's a lot more of an internal isolation-y kind of thing to watch positive sort of content. Like this sort of video here, I presume this isn't a video you would watch with like a big group of friends. This is a thing that you might watch on your own, or maybe with like, I don't know, your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever. Maybe like, you know, 2 people max watching it, not loads and loads and loads and loads of people, like you would maybe with, say, I don't know, I remember when I was a sort of like teenager and Sausage Party came out, and me and a load of friends went to see Sausage Party just to laugh at it, because it looked fucking awful, and I honestly don't remember a single thing about that film, so it can't have been that good. But I think now that people have recognized that you can just go out there and just make crap and slop that people will just eat up, particularly with the YouTube shorts and the TikToks and all this sort of thing, it's become so easy now for people that are just cynical grifters essentially to come along, put zero effort into stuff, game the algorithm, game the audiences, because that's what an algorithm essentially is. It's the whims of what the audience wants, and the algorithm works according to what the audience actually wants. And if you're manipulating your audience into engaging with your content, then I don't know, this is where I feel like the term content is taking us. It's taking us to the commodification of art as a whole, because technically these things are a form of art. And I don't like calling it that, but what else would you call it? I mean, content, yeah, but everything's content at the end of the day. How's a building not content, you know? Because it's a thing that's there and it has contents within it. A book has a contents on it, but it is also content. Is content just for the online space? Is it for everything? I don't really know. Like that's another thing, is it's such an all-encompassing term, but it has this sort of negative quality attached to it, where if you're making content, if you're a content creator, it feels like a lesser thing compared to if you're actually going out and making, say, albums, music, films, videos even, you know, where it's about conveying whatever it is that you need to convey, because that's the point of creating stuff. It's because you've got something to say, so say it. And you know, at the moment I've noticed my algorithm gets filled up, my like YouTube homepage and my suggested videos. There's a lot of these like Family Guy related things where it's like these sort of AI voices that read them out, and they have these thumbnails that are white, and they'll have like some demonic looking version of Meg or Stewie or whatever, and it will sort of be like, he did what? With a big question mark, and it'd be like the top 30 worst things Stewie Griffin ever did, or whatever. And you look at it, and it is literally just recounting bits from Family Guy. And I wonder about the people that make that sort of stuff. And it's like, is this satisfying for you? I mean, beyond just looking at the numbers, is this actually satisfying for you? Do you feel a resonance with your community, with the people that you're sharing this with? Do you feel like there's a purpose to you and what you're expressing? Or do you feel like if you were to disappear, that no one would actually lose anything of value? You know? Take your favourite, I don't know, filmmaker, creator, musician, right? At the moment, mine is, I'll take Neil Young, right? Take Neil Young. Imagine Neil Young just ceased to exist. He was just erased from history, right? All his albums are gone. I think the world would be a bit of a worse off place for it, because there's loads of good stuff he made, you know? Harvest Moon and all that, it's brilliant. But say if that Family Guy YouTube channel just disappeared and its entire existence was just forgotten about as a memory wipe on every single person that ever saw those videos. Would they miss out on anything? No, not really. They would have found another video to watch while they're cooking or while they're having a bath or whatever. They would have found their own way around it. And that's where I feel like content is, for me, as a term. I feel like it represents the commodification of art. And I would like to come up with some better term for the amalgamation of all artistic things, which I was using the term media for a fair bit in place of content, because I feel like, you know, we're making media, we're making forms of media, and like everything is media. You know, this YouTube channel is a media thing. This film production company, Miramax Studios, is a media thing. The Guardian is a media thing, etc., etc. But apparently it's already kind of got a term for, you know, being about the journalism sort of side of things. So fine, we can't use that. But we can surely come up with something that doesn't have the negative connotations that content does as a term. Because I feel like I'm not alone with this. I feel like other people surely would agree that content has this negative implication to it. It just sort of feels like it's cheap. It's like McDonald's fast food. It's not a holistic sort of emotive, you know, resonant sort of thing. And that's not saying it needs to be like, you know, Come and See, or like, you know, some really hardcore like indie bloody art house picture or something. You know, like I want to make a sitcom. My dream is to make a sitcom. A sitcom is essentially just old school slop, essentially. It's just sort of something that you put on while you're making your dinner, while you're like bored, or while you're just doing stuff, you know? And it's just a nice little thing that you can kind of go back to as comfort food. I like that. And I don't think content in that regard, in terms of easy to access, sort of easy to digest material, is a bad thing. I think that's an incredibly good thing, actually. And I will do a video about comfort food viewings at some point in the future. But I think for this, what's important is if you're making stuff, just think about why the audience is interested in this and try and make it something where they can't get you anywhere else. They have to come to you for it, that you add something of your own personality, of your own self. You know, even if you're doing, like, if you're uploading other things, like I've got a YouTube channel where I just upload things that I'm interested in, like, you know, like live shows from bands I like and stuff like that. I just upload like whatever I want, really. And it's a nice little thing to sort of have, because whilst it's not my content, it's at the same time stuff that I am holistically interested in. I remember getting a couple comments like, you're a channel that does this and you also upload things from this show I like. Are you and me the same person? And I was like, oh wow, that means there's a little resonance there, because it's not like they're gonna sit there and you know, really care about what I'm making, because I'm not really putting any real effort into it. It was essentially a marketing account, really, to sort of, for me to figure out what the algorithm kind of is like and what it's like to upload certain videos and see the trends of various view bell curves and stuff like that. That's kind of why I did it, as market research rather than as like an artistic fulfillment. And, you know, if you're making things for artistic fulfillment and you can monetize them as well, like, I'm not saying you have to be a fucking like super true artiste, right? Because I'm not one of those either, and I feel like if you go too far down that way, you end up becoming pretentious, and I don't want to be pretentious, but at the same time, I want to be real. And I feel like content is a lack of real, in terms of not necessarily realism, but just, it's not showing you anything that you can't get somewhere else. And at that point, it just becomes disposable, it becomes pointless, and why would you ever go back to it? And that's kind of what the term means to me. But it's also being used to describe these truer, bigger works of art. Take, for instance, a guy called Bobby Broccoli, who makes these really intricate, like 2-hour long documentaries about like various scientific scandals and stuff like that. He puts a lot of effort into them, so much research, and tells the story in a really conveying way. And technically, what he makes is content. The same way that Family Guy thing, channel that I was talking about, is also making content. They're both making content, but the difference is one is actually fulfilling on an artistic level and to actually engage with, because it's providing you something unique, and the other one is just crap to put on because you have no other brain capacity to put on anything more challenging. And it's not that apologies, it's not that there isn't a place for easy to digest slop. It's not like, I mean, reality TV exists for a reason, and people like reality TV for a reason, because sometimes you don't want to be challenged, and sometimes you're not in a headspace where you are capable of being challenged in that kind of way. You just actively don't want that because it would hurt you. And that's fine, and we should make stuff for that. But I think what that should at least be more entertaining and interesting and stimulating than some of the stuff that's coming out in the really grifty sort of sides of the YouTube and TikTok and all the other ones. Wait, you ever scroll down Facebook recently and you see like the shorts that get recommended to you? The ones that come up for me, it's basically just like softcore pornography, and it's the shittest jokes ever. They're terrible. There's no humour to them at all, but they're obviously trying to be funny. They're miserable. They're so bad. But at the same time, they've got like millions of views each, and I don't understand why. But I think it's because they've gamed the algorithm. They know exactly what people will click on. They know why they'll click on it. They know what they're going to get out of it, and they know what to provide. And they know that they only need to provide a barest minimum. And so now everyone's providing this barest minimum, and it's getting this general culture of the audience to lower their expectations. And as time goes forwards, we're going to start meeting new minimums and then new minimums under that. And I feel like if we continue down that route, we're going to start seeing the degeneration of art as a total thing. And we're going to see much, much less in the way of true representations of people, and more just general mild milquetoast critiques of the world at large. And I don't want that. I don't want that to be the case. I want the world to feel a bit deeper and more full of you know, real individuals that are trying to express themselves as best they can, even if they fail. Because it's better to watch someone that's, you know, doesn't necessarily know what they're doing, but is truly them, compared to someone who seems to be all slick and professional, but at the same time feels kind of phony. I recently got back into Ralph the Movie Maker. I used to watch him quite a lot when I was sort of like 17, 18. I've started getting back into him again and watching his old videos. And to be honest, his videos aren't all that like good looking. I remember at the time thinking they looked really good, but they actually look kind of crap. but they're nice. They feel like a true representation of who Ralph is, and the way that he critiques the films that he's watching, and the jokes that he kind of makes. While some of them might be dated to the 2016 sort of culture of YouTube, they're so fun because it is him. The same way that, I don't know, every other YouTuber that is a true nice personality that people attach to, you attach to because it's them, and you can't get that anywhere else. You can't just Google channels like iDubbbz and then just find another channel that's just iDubbbz like, and then just get into him the same sort of way. It's because it's not the same thing. You're not going to get the same sort of thing out of him. You know, you ever find an album that you really like and then Google albums like this and then start listening to some of them, and you can't get that same thing in that other place. And that's what you need to be providing. You need to be providing something unique. And if you can provide something that's unique, then you're sorted. That's it. That's all you're doing. And if, you might not be getting the views now, but as long as you remain yourself, and you keep trying things, something will end up happening. You'll end up, making an impact on at least one person. If you can make an impact on one person, that's kind of cool. Not necessarily it's even the goal of this, it's just kind of fun. It's nice to make people feel happy and contented with themselves. That's why I started making things, and I've always wanted to create, because I want people to, if you have like a really sad sort of Wednesday afternoon where everything feels a bit miserable, you ever, like, when that happens to me, I start watching other sort of things, and I might binge watch a few things, and it sort of makes me feel better. It makes me forget about the troubles in my life, and I want other people to get that kind of thing from these videos, and I hope that's the case. So yeah, I hope you liked this video about why I dislike content. I hope it made some vague level of sense and I didn't ramble on and go in too many different directions. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you all have a great rest of the day, and let's try and figure out a new term instead of content that doesn't have that negative implication. Something that can, inspire rather than to sort of feel like an admission. Like, I feel like if I was to say I'm a content creator, that's almost like I'm admitting it rather than being proud of it. So let's come up with some new term. If you come up with any cool ideas, you can even just make up fucking words, I don't care. Let's come up with some mad ass word, like use all the weirdest consonants that never get used next to each other or whatever. Let's do something like that. Or maybe let's do one that has every single vowel. Let's do that. Yeah. So yeah, have a good one. Take care. Love you all. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good one. Bye bye.